What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Smoking Tire Podcast. This episode is brought to you by Autotempest.com. Autotempest is the place, folks, to find used cars on the internet. Whether you are looking for yourself, for someone else to buy, sell, trade, or just killing time, Autotempest is your homie. You know why? Because it saves you the headache of double work. Double work sucks. Work is good. There can be work, hard work, good work, work's fine. But double work, doing the same thing twice, forget about it, folks. Autotempest takes all these car sites all over the internet, puts them together into one easy place for you. It searches them all at once, and then it compares results with all of Craigslist nationally, eBay Motors, and Facebook Market. They've got you covered. They've been taking care of us for a long time, and we use them as well. I use them all the time if I'm browsing around because I don't have the time to look at 10 different sites to see what's out there. They bring it all together for me. So check out Autotempest.com and support the people who support the Smoking Tire when you search for a used car on the internet. We're also brought to you by Crown & Caliber. Look, when it comes to buying a watch, take my advice. You pretty much always, with very rare exception, you pretty much always want to buy that luxury watch used. Most luxury watches take a nice little depreciation hit the second they go out the door, and they're also taken care of pretty well. And so you can take advantage of that situation by getting a secondhand luxury watch from Crown & Caliber. They have in-house technicians that make sure these watches are really working right, and they have a limited mechanical warranty. So even if you buy a vintage watch from them, if it shows up, it starts telling time wrong, they will handle that for you, even if it's an old watch. It's really nice. They buy your watch if you've got something you're not into anymore. Maybe you want to get out of it or trade up into a different watch, trade laterally, do combo deals like I do. I've done like a 3-watch trade, but it's all very easy. If you decide that you don't want your watch anymore, they can buy it from you. It'll be gone within 24 hours. No dealing with shady fools on the internet. It's totally legitimate company because the internet and watches, there's sketchiness that goes on there. And so anytime you can deal with a legitimate company with a quality reputation, you want to do that. It's a stressless way to live. They have a deal going with Breitling right now. So if you want a brand new Breitling, you can trade your old watch to Crown & Caliber and then roll that credit into a new Breitling if you want. They're also giving away a Rolex Submariner. You can enter at crownancaliber.com/TST. It's crownancaliber.com/TST. And if you want to buy a watch, use code TST175 to save $175 off when you buy a watch at Crown & Caliber. crownancaliber.com/TST, folks. See you there with your new wrist hardware. Lastly, Westside Collector Car Storage is now taking deposits for our grand opening very soon. If you are in West LA and you have cars that just don't fit at your place, maybe because you don't have a big enough garage, maybe because you got more cars than space, maybe because your cars are too big or too low, they can't get in the driveway because you got a funky driveway, Westside Collector Car Storage has you covered. Extra low driveway angle entrances, battery tenders at every spot, free LAX pickup and delivery. I basically made a list of the 20 most annoying things about owning a car in Los Angeles, and I built a facility and built up a staff that will handle every single one of them so you can spend the time enjoying your car on our beautiful roads and not dealing with the headaches of owning a sports car in the city. See what it's all about at westsidecollectorcarstorage.com. Alrighty, on this episode of the show, we got a good one for you guys. Our old pal Alex Roy is in studio. He is a driver, a writer, a philosopher, a filmmaker. He is an expert in advanced autonomous vehicle research. He has a lot of experience driving across the country very, very fast. And he's brought a friend. Mr. David Morse is with us, too. David, I love this guy. David was a 3-time participant in the U.S. Express 1980 to 83, even winning it once in 1980 with his co-driver, Steve Clausman. And the U.S. Express is what became of the real Cannonball Run once it got too heated to run the Cannonball Run anymore. So it was really a very cool thing. He's in here telling old stories, and we're also talking Tesla, tech, autonomous vehicles, and more. Alex Roy and David Morse on the Smoking Tire Podcast.
Hello, everybody. It's the Smoking Tire Podcast. This is the show. Happy Thursday. Third show of the week for me, but it's going to be the best show because we've got Alex Roy in studio, and Alex has the appropriate take on life, and he brought a bonus guest with him, Mr. David Morse, original cannonballer, U.S. Express veteran, and a hell of a guy. Welcome, gentlemen.
Still around to be able to talk about it.
I think David Morse is a guy who's figured it out. And the thing that's so crazy, David, is that from 2005 to 2006, 7, I watched you speak. I watched you talk over and over, the same hours of footage about your experiences on the U.S. Express. But did you do the cannonball as well?
No, I did not do the cannonball. It was before my time.
So, yeah, but you don't. U.S. Express, in and of itself, doesn't have a cool term like cannonballer. You're still a cannonballer if you do the U.S. Express only, right?
It's a verb. It's vernacular.
Yes, it's
Not a U.S. Expresser. That sounds shitty. That sounds like you're making a coffee.
Dave, will you explain for those who don't know the difference between the history of the cannonball to the U.S. Express, what the U.S. Express was?
Well, Rick Doherty, who put together the U.S. Express, did not want to use the term cannonball because he didn't want to call attention to the number of cars leaving New York and Long Island and turn it into a target. And his father actually suggests, boy, you're going across the U.S., why don't you call it the U.S. Express?
Because calling it the American Express would invite litigation.
Right. And the trucking company,
Habibi,
U.S.
we don't
Express
want to paint the cars gold.
Right.
And so, but it was basically the cannonball run, but more hardcore.
It was serious, and it was fun, but it wasn't crazy.
What year was this?
It started in 1980. I didn't do it till my first run was 1981 and 2 and 3.
Vehicles of choice, David.
It's the same vehicle all 3 years. It was a Porsche 928.
Yes,
it's an excellent choice.
It was an excellent choice for the time.
At the time, like one of the best GT cars that you could buy.
And you're the guy with a 50-gallon bag of fuel.
Oh yeah,
with the floating yellow bomb in the back of our car. And Steve was a smoker.
And Steve
was he smoking with the bag?
No,
okay.
I would not let that happen.
So let me be clear. So you're in a 928 with a 100-gallon bag of gas, and it's got like a hand pump.
It had a little small electric jockey pump that could spark.
And it would pump into the main tank?
It would pump into the main tank.
And your co-driver, Steve Clausman,
right,
managed rock bands and smoked. And what were you doing in your life at that time?
Well, Steve also had a NASCAR license.
Okay.
And he was best friends with one of my partners. So that's how we met.
Steve was like a really a good club racer at the time, right? He had some strong victories, right?
I believe I've read about it since, but I didn't know it at the time.
Yeah, he kept it on the DL.
He would try to talk me into, okay, this is what you do in the apex of a turn when you're doing 110. And I said, okay, I've done that before. I've also spun out before, so I know how not to.
So how did you guys meet, and how did you come to enter the U.S. Express? Because in 1980-81, how do you find out about this race?
Well, there was an ad in Auto Week, and I was a subscriber. I was a car guy. I mean, I loved cars.
The ad in Auto Week is very funny.
Yeah, it really is.
What did it say?
And I had it on my desk, and I'm looking through it, and there's this ad about a cross-country race, and if you wanted to enter, you sent $10 in an application to some place in New York, and I just wrote a nice letter and $10.
You'd enter $10 to enter?
It was no. It was $10 for them to open the mail.
Oh,
and what did your letter say? What did you say?
Oh, here's an article from U.S. Express, but it's not the ad. I was trying to find the ad, but I found an Auto Week story. Okay.
The ad is in the movie.
Yeah.
You do have a shot of it.
Yeah.
So what do you say in such a letter to convince these people?
I was thinking about that today, anticipating the question, and I think I just talked about my love of cars. My first, car was a 442.
Nice.
And I graduated from there into a Ferrari 330 GTS. I had a choice of staying married or keeping the car.
He kept the car.
Yeah. No, I didn't. And she can listen to this. No, I didn't keep the car. I couldn't afford both. And I've had a string of Porsches. I've got Corvettes, and I've enjoyed speed.
So
here's on the article from Auto Week. Here you go. Here's Clausman in the picture. And it says Steve Clausman above. Oh, and they fucked it up. It says Steve Morse. Sorry, buddy. Drove their Porsche 928 from New York to the Bay Area. Oh, it ended in San Francisco, that one.
The first 2 years ended in Emeryville.
Interesting.
And that was a whole different change in strategy to do that one.
And that was
38 hours, 10 minutes, average speed of 77.3 miles an hour. And it was 100 miles longer than the traditional Cannonball Run route to L.A.
Yeah, and it also had two other factors. We had a clogged fuel filter.
I've been there.
Yeah,
Alex had a biggie. Alex had a bad one of them.
Well, I wish I'd learned that earlier. But
if you say fuel filter fucking 3 times around him, like M5 Beetlejuice jumps out. It's like, oh!
Well, the first time my car backfired, it was like, what? And then it was like, how am I going to get this fixed in the middle of the country? You're not. And the second problem was that run took us over the Donner Pass.
It's a badass road, though.
I had gone camping a couple of years early in Yellowstone, about the same time of year, and I woke up to snow on the ground. And I said, that Donner Pass could have snow and it could be closed. And I brought chains.
Good call.
Chains for the Porsche 928.
For the special chains. They were made out of nylon.
Yes, of course.
Yes.
Yes, of course. We have used the nylon because we know we have tested every possible material known to man, including plutonium, and we know.
And
this is just the best.
It'll chew up your tires. So I paid a couple of chain guys, put them on, and bye, everybody.
And everyone else ate each other.
Correct.
Look how beautiful Donner
Literally.
Pass is.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
You may recognize this from the title photo of the Road and Track Performance Car of the Year, actually.
And was it what year? Did you have the same 928 all 3 years?
All 3 years.
And what year was the car?
It was a 78.
Okay. And that was
that's a little narrow body car, no wing, none of that.
No.
With the inset tail lights.
Risky
Right.
business level.
Automatic.
Correct. Yes. And although I have a friend of mine who's swearing it was was a stick, it wasn't a stick. It was an automatic.
They've embellished the transmission
Yeah,
details slightly from
no, I don't need to embellish it.
Do you still have the car?
I wish I did.
Ooh, do you know where it is?
Not a clue.
Ooh.
The first time you have to repair one of those, it's like the 330 GTS.
Yeah.
I mean, it was.
Well, I know 2 former 928 owners. That makes you a third. Alex had fun with one. Mike Musto managed to get out of one pretty unscathed.
I love that car. I missed that car, but mine was a manual, and I wish it was an automatic. I did not enjoy that car as a manual.
Well, mine started off as a street car here in Los Angeles. I mean, just driving through L.A. with a manual was challenging.
You bought it
still
new?
is. It sucks.
I bought it new.
It still sucks.
You bought it new in 1978
from Steve Taub Porsche.
Oh yeah,
I bought a car from Steve Taub.
Yeah.
And he's. Are we not talking about him on the air?
No, I don't know. We're not.
Well, I bought 2 cars from him. I bought a 2000 Audi TT gray with the red leather, the yellow stitching, and he screwed me on that car.
Welcome to Steve. Yeah.
I like it had the premium, the sticker. I'm like, I don't care. And then I also bought a Porsche Targa from him, an old Targa.
The one we have, the one now.
Yes, because that car turned out was my father's car.
We should get you the license plate frame that is on eBay. The Steve Taub Porsche Audi license plate
frame.
And
when I went to the Beverly Hills Porsche dealer, and I went in there to meet the owner, I forget his name. You know the guy.
I do. I do know the guy.
And he said, we're talking Porsches. I'm like, oh yeah, I used to got my car at Steve Taub. He's like, Steve Taub. Yeah, he looked like he could have been like a stuntman on like Magnum PI, playing one of the bad guys.
Just like bushy, very bushy.
Like, he was very California. Anyway, but you go on.
No. I'm thinking I drifted back to my 911 before the 928, which was removed from my driveway by somebody. But
What do you mean?
Oh,
It was
no, it
stolen?
got stolen?
Yeah.
No.
It was a yellow Targa 911, and it was fantastic. And I woke up one morning, and it was gone. Okay.
Oh, wow. That's so sad.
Yeah.
In the movie Apex, The Secret Race Across America, which I have conveniently pulled up for you.
And you're in it, and it's amazing.
I also am in it.
Yeah.
We're
all in it. We're all in it, and I've tried to send it to as many friends as I can do it. Yeah,
Thank you.
I've seen it a couple times, and every time I see it, I'm actually surprised that I'm in it. I'm like, oh shit, that's me.
You have a very good role.
Yeah.
You like him.
I know. I'm like the only person who does. Get it on iTunes. It's really good, folks.
Although, something interestingly, we've sold a lot more on Amazon than on iTunes.
Oh, really?
I don't know why.
Is it because it's a more streamlined purchasing
Maybe.
process?
It's like a tenfold.
Really?
Yeah, 10x
shit.
at least more on Amazon than iTunes.
Oh, how about that?
Yeah.
My favorite thing about the film is the vintage footage from the U.S. Express. The stuff from the airplane is awesome. The stuff, but I really like seeing the stuff of the drivers prepping at the Red Ball garage, pulling away, with gusto. And so I really want to know, some of the equipment that you guys were managing at those times to drive at those paces.
We had what was available. There's some rumors of other things we had. I'll say now we didn't have those things. However, we had.
I'm sorry. What are there rumors of other things that you didn't have?
Let me do the things we did. We had multiple radar detectors, several scanners for police radios. We had a CB radio. We had switches for turning off the brake lights and the rear lights.
Those were a lot cheaper back then.
Yeah, easier to do too.
Yeah.
We had the fuel tank modifications.
The fuel bag.
Well, a tank bag. We put our clothing on top of the bag, so if we got pulled over, they're not looking at a yellow bag in the back of the seat and knowing what it is.
I saw in the movie.
Not illegal. Is it illegal to have a yellow bag?
No.
In the film, is there actual? I think there's a still shot or video of the bag.
There's a shot of it.
There's a
shot of it for sure.
Because I've seen that so many times, I don't even know what's in the film anymore.
It's there. I saw it today, and I was okay. Yes, it's there.
Oh, that was sketchy.
You also had white stringback driving gloves. Is that right?
Oh my God!
I'm not sure they stayed on long.
The period driving gloves are so good.
Okay, we had empty apple juice jars.
Oh, for peeing.
Correct.
That's for peeing.
That's a 1980s solution.
Yeah, they have the Travel Johns now.
Johns.
Yeah, those are. Did you ever actually end up using those, Alex?
Tried to use it once. It was suboptimal. Dave, so tell us what. So back then, okay, so it's 1981. The Gumball Rally movie had come out 5 years earlier.
Right.
The Cannonball Run movie had just come out that summer. Right?
I don't remember the timing of that.
All right, so
Cannonball Run movie was like 81, 82.
So at that point, I mean, the cannonballing as we see it historically was very fresh. And you show up in New York in this garage full of people. Like, what was that like?
First, I had to get the car to New York. Mm-hmm. I used Passport Transport. I had it shipped out to New York each time.
You're sneaking plugs in 30 years later.
Right.
I promised a lifetime of plugs.
And you're going into a place who nobody. And you're looking at these teams and you're wondering where they came from and you're wondering how they got there. You're wondering what their qualifications are.
Can you rewind a little further?
Sure.
You send a letter.
Yes.
You get a response back. Who calls you? Who
Rick Doherty.
And
I got a letter in the mail. I did not get a call.
What does the letter say in response?
Congratulations. You've been accepted into the U.S. Express in 1981. And the date probably had the start date and the start location, and send us a check to the American Cancer Society, I believe it was, for $500. Mm-hmm. Because there's no money was exchanged ever in the race.
For liability purposes.
No, I mean, no. No, there's no liability. The word liability never came up the first 2 years. It just didn't.
It just didn't occur to anybody that everyone might get sued and go to prison.
Yeah, or somebody could hurt somebody. Or, I mean, all the things that, I mean, Rick didn't think about it.
Well, I think they're operating under the assumption that they're the safest people on the road, even though, you know, historically.
So you passport transports the vehicle. You get to New York. You arrive at a garage.
Correct.
The door opens, and what is that? What happens?
We walked up. Well, the first meeting I actually think wasn't in the garage. We met in a hotel room someplace, and like a little meeting room where Rick introduced the rules, told us where meet at the garage, and you got access during these hours, and then you sort of looked at the cars and looked at the people and just wondered who they were. And some of them, I mean, I've got very, very good memories of them. I mean, really nice people. And then there were some people that were there, I mean, the people who, tricked out a car and pretended that they were taking radioactive material across the U.S. and were going to seal their windows so the police wouldn't open the doors.
Well, it's not, I mean, a little hokey, but it's not like a terrible move.
No. So in 1981,
it's not as corny as Andre and shit with the R8. Remember that?
People still ask me about that.
I know, it's hilarious.
So, all right, so you're there. You meet in 1981. So was Don Quadier was a driver that year?
Yes,
and he's in the movie.
Yes,
who's that?
He's the guy who says, I love driving at 150 miles an hour. It's very satisfying. Very satisfying indeed.
Yeah.
We were not a reckless bunch, except my RX-7 caught fire.
Right.
Yeah, I liked him a lot.
You met Don Cartier.
Great delivery.
Was Mike DeGonis a driver that year?
Oh, my God.
In a Pantera?
Yes, he was.
And did you meet him?
That guy was great.
Yeah, he was great.
It's funny. The drivers were pretty quiet. Nobody would discuss route.
Yeah, no kidding.
And there was no GPS, so everybody had paper maps. And there wasn't and Steve was really paranoid. He said, don't talk to anybody. Don't tell them what we're doing. Don't tell them how we're doing it. Don't tell them how the car's set up.
So it's hardcore.
It was hardcore, and it was concentration.
Here's the best DeGonis I've got. It's him at the start line, or possibly the finish line, but more likely the start line, with what looks like that kind of riding mechanic of his. He had a riding mechanic.
Yes, right.
Allegedly, this Pantera was a 200-mile-an-hour car.
And I like the two-tone gold, black.
Bro. Black gold.
I always like a man who says he was an employee in my place of business. Who says that? That doesn't sound legal.
Right. So he made him climb out the car to fix it while driving. He goes, I don't know if he'd ever done it before, but I told him he'd better figure out how to do it this time.
And they were at 100 or something. Yeah.
So much footage was cut from the film, because I've seen hundreds of hours of footage, but there's a wonderful sequence in an earlier version of this film where each of the drivers, I think you included, is asked by Corey Wells, who originally started this film back in the day, asked, could this be done again today? And it was just, you were asked this something like in 04 or 05. And everyone says no, except DeGonis. He's like, yes. I heard that. Everyone's like, no.
He's like, what? Why are you going?
Right. Where are we starting from?
Yeah. And by the way, P.S. It's once a year since 06 or so. It's been fucking had
so
27. Yikes.
Oh, we'll get to that. I want to stay on 81. So 81, you get to the finish line.
Yes.
And you won because you had the snow chains, right?
We pull into the restaurant in Emeryville, and and Steve was driving, and in my anticipation to run to the door, I had taken my seatbelt off, unlocked the door, and partially opened it, and he hung a right, and I went right out the door. I mean, I just rolled right out. And I go up to the front door, and there's no cars in the parking lot, not a single car there. And I'm saying, God damn it, those sons of... That's how those...
You can say it.
Those fuckers. I mean...
They made me donate to the American Cancer Society.
They here we are, and they've all gone home. And I went up to the door, it's locked, and I pound on it, I turn around, I shout to Steve, there's no one here. And... then the door opened, And it was my wife who looked at me and says, "You won." And I looked at her
And
and
that's
I
the
said,
last time your wife ever said that.
Andy, you
sorry,
know it's
I'm
not,
sorry.
but that's fine. That's fine. No, no, but what I knew is it was elapsed time, so I knew I didn't win.
Necessarily, you didn't necessarily win just by getting there first.
They opened the door. I was the first one they opened the door for, but there were 6 or 7 cars that went out before me. So it was until those.
You beat somebody. But someone who had started after you could have made up time and had a better elapsed time than you.
No question about that. There's a lot of things that could have happened.
Although they didn't.
They didn't. They didn't have chains.
The chains, right?
The
so
chains.
at the end of it, it didn't even necessarily come down to I or you and Steve physically drove faster. It came down to you were more prepared with equipment in the car.
It's always that case.
Yeah.
Funny how that goes.
I mean, it's fun. Yeah, I really believe that it's there's a lot of factors, but being prepared for the possibilities along the way. I didn't have an extra fuel filter with me, but
that's why you need to have the Dakar-style chase truck, just in case.
Right.
It's like 20 minutes behind you,
with
full parts.
With 3 guys in there who knew how to do it.
Right. With a full 928 disassembled in the back.
Right.
Because having a second car is not sporting.
Right.
But having a full car disassembled, totally fine.
It's sporting if you have to physically put the other car together before you can drive it away.
Yeah.
That's hard.
So that's 81.
That's 81.
And then what happened? The Doherty and the rest of the guys arrived.
They all arrived, and it was. And Steve and I looked at each other and wondered because, with that car backfiring for half the country, and the snow, and we were delightfully surprised. It was not a time that we knew what we had to do, or wanted to do. We didn't come close to that. Mm-hmm. But we did what was necessary.
But still enough to win, though. Yeah, even if it wasn't a record.
It's funny. I was thinking about somebody mentioned that this is more difficult than the Le Mans.
Well, that's the famous line from Daganis.
Right,
makes the 24 Hours Le Mans look like a Boy Scout outing.
But it makes me wonder.
That's funny.
What
Daganis is full of fucking jokes. I love that guy.
So, what are the slower times at Le Mans? Because they have weather, they've got issues, they've got there's probably runs at that.
How far back do you think you have to go? 24 Hours of Le Mans, maybe the 30s. How far back do they run this race? How far back do you have to go to get speeds that are under, let's say, Alex and Maher's average?
I don't know.
If you went back to the 50s, would the average speeds at 24 Hours of Le Mans be lower than
Yes.
Possibly, right?
Yeah. I think so.
I just started reading the galley of a book that's coming out in a few weeks. You got to get this guy on, Neil Bascom. Have you heard of this guy? He wrote the book The Perfect Mile, about the first guy to run the 4-minute mile. But he has this book coming out called Faster, about the French guy who drove the Delahaye against the Silver Arrows cars.
Yeah.
That book, he's the expert. Get him on this show.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Where's he from? Do you know?
In New York City.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
cool.
he's really cool.
Interesting.
Yeah, he's a really good dude.
Cool.
But go on.
No.
So, 82. 82. Well, it's like the Empire Strikes Back of cannonballs.
No shit. It's like we were really hated after the 81. Mm-hmm. I mean, we're the new kids. We didn't do it in 80, so there's a lot of people who wanted to win and didn't in 80. They were coming back, and we didn't realize. Well, we had no idea the animosity that was created by us winning.
We have a lot in common, you and I.
Yeah? Okay. I'm sure we do. Probably more than you think.
Go on.
And it became very apparent as we kept getting pulled over in multiple stops along the route, and multiple officers of the law knew our names and knew we were coming. And I know there's, I think Don talks about that in the film, but when we got to Wyoming, they were waiting for us entering the state. The highway patrol officer pulled us over. I think it was about 2 a.m. in the morning. And he basically said, I know what you're doing, and I think it's fantastic. Okay, that was his line. Then he said, 60 or 70 miles down the road, there's a roadblock waiting for you. And they're pissed. They're working overtime. They're working at night. It's snow, light snow out. They're angry. And I said, thank you very much. And I got in the car and we pulled in with a convoy of
Hold
trucks.
on for 1 second.
Sure.
Because can you imagine, I don't know if I can even imagine this, a Porsche 928 in 1982 is literally like from the moon, that thing coming through at high speed. I bet because the volume of sports cars, of really high-end sports cars,
I guess was much lower at that point. Yeah,
today,
that's true. Yeah,
today they're everywhere. You've seen them all over. everywhere.
Yeah,
and back then that was probably a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, I guess in Wyoming, no less, right? Because if you see a 911, or something, high-end German sports car in Wyoming now,
it's like
except for a couple of, right?
Yeah, I'm hiding money in Montana, guys.
Yeah,
well, Wyoming also had a 55-mile-an-hour speed limit.
Oh yeah.
Which really, was very different for that state.
Yeah. Wait, so when you say you get in with a convoy of trucks,
right?
How does that get through a roadblock?
It doesn't.
Oh.
But it keeps my speed down.
Uh-huh.
And sure enough, I got pulled over. I was driving at the time. Steve was in the passenger
Was there not
seat.
an opportunity to exit that road in the next 70 miles and avoid the roadblock that you were informed about?
Paper maps.
Oh, yeah.
You just you don't have that kind of reaction
God,
time.
road trips fucking sucked before GPS. It did. I did paper maps road trips in the 90s, and it sucked.
Some say it's actually better.
Why?
You learn stuff. You happenstance come across things. You learn things.
Yeah, I mean that's still an option now, but
no one has the discipline or interests.
Yeah. All right. Fine.
Yeah.
Fine.
Go on.
So I get pulled over. And, again, the officer comes up, license and, registration. And in those days, you could get out of your car. Today it's two hands on the wheel and don't move until they tell you. But in those days, you could get out. And, I went around. I said, what are we being pulled over for? He said, you were speeding. I said, I was? He says, you were speeding and I'm taking you to jail and you'll deal with a judge tomorrow. And I said, give me a minute. And I walked back to the car, and I had a New York City, let me just say, an official badge with an official designation with my name on it. And I showed it to the officer, and I said, would you mind extending some professional courtesy? And again, he didn't have communication. He couldn't check to New York to see what things were. He looked at the badge, he looked at me, he looked at the document, he looked at me, and I said, he looked in the back of the car, which showed clothing on top of the tank. And he said, okay, I won't take you in, but I'm giving you a ticket for $59 and a $55. It's $17, and I believe I had to make a check out to the school board right there.
You had a check on you.
Huh? I had checks with me.
People did that too.
Yes,
You carried that inside your paper map.
There were, it's like Mexico. There were places where you needed green, green paper, or you needed a check, or you needed.
Yeah, I want to know who had the most cash in their glove box.
When you were writing out the check in front of the officer, were you wearing your driving gloves?
Let me remove this.
I'm certain I wasn't.
So, in case anyone is wondering, the slowest average speed from the 24 Hours of Le Mans this year, 2019, is 109 miles an hour. That's the slowest from this year. So I don't think you'd have to go back very far at all to find one that would be underneath Alex's. Thank you for that, mathematicians.
Mr. Morse. So you then.
We really knew we were screwed. We weren't going to place. The car was running beautifully. We were coming down through the canyons in Utah, going across the Salt Lake, and then we hit Nevada. And we both looked at each other seriously and said, why don't we just stop at the Bunny Ranch? I mean, we're not going to win this thing.
What? Good for you, sir.
And
good for you.
We genuinely talked about taking a break.
Yeah. America the Beautiful.
America
indeed.
the Beautiful. We're both, If we did, I would have told you, but we didn't.
And then-
Bro,
But we
if
did.
you won,
If
you won while stopping at the Bunny Ranch,
So
that would be fucking
You got there,
epic.
they opened the door, and the woman said, "You won."
Listen, if Morningstar's listening, he's like, goals.
This is not all right.
yeah.
So,
Anyway.
okay. So so you left, and then you went.
We went into
the finish line.
To the finish line. Same restaurant as the year before. Everybody was there. I'm not even sure where we placed that year. I have no idea.
Now, if I remember this correctly, that is the year that Demon Turner went and also did not place, and they were angry and frustrated. If I'm correct, am I?
Well, I've seen the tapes. I've seen their interviews, and
right.
They were there to win.
Right. Okay. And I think Deganis won it in 1980. Is that right?
You're the fucking historian, dude. I don't know.
We'll have to get.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. He seems like enough of a maniac.
He seems like a
to
winner.
At least have one victory there.
So you don't remember who won in 82?
Then I don't remember who won in 82.
Well, in some ways, you did.
Listen, no one else does either. So you won. Yeah.
No, I did not win. I know I didn't.
So that's 82.
Yeah, right.
And then in 83,
we decided that after 80, well, first of all, they were going to finish the race in Los Angeles. That's home territory. I knew the area, knew the roads coming in, felt comfortable. And I said to Steve, okay, this is nuts, but one more time. And made sure the car was working.
Passport Transport?
Yep, same company. Yep. And same garage.
Why did they never run one eastward?
Time change.
Oh, because you take advantage of the time change.
You get 3 hours.
Go west.
Yeah, you get 3 hours.
You also, you want it's. How would that work? Because you want to leave at night. You want to arrive at night.
Yeah, you want to go from sunrise to sunset.
I mean, I guess, yeah, but
having gone west to east on the electric record runs several times, it sucks.
Why?
You always arrive in daylight, and it sucks.
Oh,
you want to kill yourself. You don't feel happy. Anyway, go on.
I mean, I know there's also like a westward expansion, pioneer sort of thing too. Yeah, all that shit too.
But have you ever seen this YouTube channel, Regular Car Reviews?
No,
Mr. Regular.
but I will look at it.
You guys,
oh yeah, I know them. They're great.
Yeah, right, Mr. Regular. He's an unappreciated kind of poet of American driving culture, and he says that the Pacific Ocean is the finish line of the world. That everybody at some point visits the United States. They start east.
They go
head
west,
and that's the finish line.
I suppose that does make a lot of sense, and he's probably right.
There's something there.
Yeah. I like living at the Pacific Ocean because I feel like that. I feel like I'm that kind of person who, like, when I go to the bar, I stand against the wall because I like to be able to look back at everything, and so I think I feel that way about the ocean too.
I get it. So go on.
So Steve and I went into 83, a lot smarter, a lot wiser. We knew what we wanted to do in terms of average speed. It wasn't spurts of 150 miles an hour. It was average 95. Just average 95. You're more than likely going to win this thing.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, I mean, it's not.
Also.
Yeah, it's the mentality of preparing for that. And we knew the route. We were very comfortable. Our philosophy was to go out early, so when we drew a number, we were fortunate. All 3 runs, we were in the top 8.
Explain how that worked. So there was 10 entrants or 20 entrants in the entry cars, right?
Let's say 20.
And you drew lots,
right?
And you could select
whatever hasn't been picked yet.
Okay.
And we went out
every 15 minutes or 10 minutes, or whatever it was.
10-minute intervals. Somebody said 15. It could have been, but I think it was 10-minute intervals.
What time did departures begin?
I believe they started about 9 o'clock
on a Friday.
On a Friday, correct?
It was like Columbus Day or something like that.
No, it was after Labor Day.
It's like
it was the weekend after Labor Day. Maybe it was Columbus Day. I don't know. They don't call it that anymore. You know that.
Oh, we can't do it anymore?
No.
Okay.
It's Explorer Day.
Right.
Is it Explorer Day? Is that what it is now?
I don't know what it is.
Oh, I don't know. I hope it is.
Vasco da Gama Day.
Freedom
Something like that.
Friday.
So
No, we got a good number, and we.
at this point, you'd met Deganis, you knew the guys, you'd met Demon Turner.
Yes.
Were any of you friends, or did you talk in between the races?
Never.
No.
No, there wasn't. I didn't talk to anybody
Kind
between
of
the
a
races.
solo sport, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not, other than the guy in your car.
I don't think I would have been surprised unless people knew each other for other reasons.
Yeah.
if they would.
And Rick Doherty, the organizer.
This is pre-Facebook,
did you
bro.
automatically get invited back for the following year by doing it, or were there people who wanted to go back and were disallowed?
I
For
don't
something?
know. I don't know that.
Were there any rules you could break?
I don't know.
I mean, other than showing up at a certain place and time and leaving at your designated hour, was that it?
yeah. What were the rules?
You had to have a car in good condition. They did check the tires. They didn't check the VIN numbers. They did.
They didn't check the VIN
And
numbers.
they didn't. And they,
I mean,
and they didn't check mileage going out. Okay.
What would be the implication of checking
Well,
VIN numbers?
the implication would be.
Just trying to get a stolen car
No,
across
well,
the country.
let's say you happen to be a dyed in the wool. I'm going to win this goddamn thing no matter what, and nobody's going to catch me.
Gotcha.
And I've got a silver Porsche in New York, and I've got a silver Porsche in Las Vegas.
Right. I'm an idiot. I've seen Speed Zone like a million fucking times. The Smothers Brothers literally do that bit.
Okay.
They have a Bentley and they fly across and they get the other Bentley. Yeah.
So I mean, things were not checked. Tire tread was checked. I think we had to show them that we had insurance.
I like
But
that.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I think so.
That's probably wise, I
And
think.
basically, Rick believed that if you're doing this, you're going to set up your car right.
Well, and so you met him.
Yeah.
In 81, 82, 83.
Right.
But it was limited to the briefing. And
It
the
was,
finish line.
there might have been some correspondence in the course of the year, but I don't remember.
It's funny when you put all these people together into a documentary, and because they all did this thing together, it seems like it would be this one close knit group of guys, and actually it's like, oh, fuck those guys.
I know
wanna beat
Rick
'em.
really wanted to win at one of the years that he was
How
running it
could
himself.
he be racing and the organizer? Isn't that not cool?
We weren't racing for money. There was nothing to. It was
It's not like he had the inside way of cheating. Although he probably swapped he was the guy with the two cars.
No, Rick was straight arrow.
Did he ever
And-
do very well in any of the events?
Do you have a list of the winners from the
I
3
have
years?
it somewhere.
I'd
Well,
love
I
to
think in the first year, didn't he? I don't know if
he came in close in the first year.
And his co-driver was Will Wright, who's the inventor of the Sims and Sim City and those games.
Right.
And so you met also the Damones, the Becky Damone and Monique Damone.
They didn't know. They were the 80.
Oh, they were in
They
80.
were 80.
the
They did
first
not
one.
do 81.
I see.
But there was a Rolls Royce or something in our year with a couple women and a couple guys.
Interesting.
I don't know what
I don't know what happened to them.
I don't know what happened to them either.
By the way, a shout out to Becky Damone, who passed away several years ago. And I was, I did not know this. Had we known, she would have been in the memoriam section at the end of the film. I was under the impression that she had just stopped returning correspondence.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, so at some later day, we'll have to have another director's
re-edit
cut. Yeah, we'll have.
By the way, Wikipedia says Doherty won the first U.S. Express with Will Wright in 1980 in the Mazda RX-7. The time was 33 hours, 9 minutes. So, yes, Will Doherty did win one.
Interesting.
The first one.
What was the time?
33 hours, 9 minutes. And then you, sir, 1981.
And
Early snowfall that closed the Donner Pass to several hours without chains. There you go. Did you write this? Special
No.
plastic chains? It's on the Wikipedia, bro.
interesting.
Others had to wait. Yeah, there we go.
So 83.
83.
Did you you're in the garage in New York? Were you aware that the red Ferrari driven by Demon Turner of the level of preparation they'd put in?
I mean, I've seen I've seen the the videos of what they put in
At the time, though.
No. But I figure people come to win.
This is
Yes.
I love this car so much.
Yeah,
The Ferrari
Yeah.
with the monster lights. Just the best.
All right, so you have the bag of fuel.
Right.
Had you made any improvements in your plan or technical improvements from 82 to 83?
Not really.
Okay.
Not really. I mean, we upgraded the radars, we upgraded the electronics, but there wasn't much to do.
Because when I see the footage view in the film, with the driving gloves and the jacket and the horn rim glasses, you don't look mellow like you do now.
Well, I hope not.
Like a kind of guy. I mean, like a guy like I'd like to be on a team with him, but you had an intimidating presence in that footage.
I was serious.
Yeah, you looked
I mean,
serious.
it was.
You looked pissed off in the beginning.
Well, Steve and I were pissed off. I mean, we left there, with we wouldn't have been had we come in second or third the second year. I'm not sure we would have come back. Mm-hmm. But it was such a disappointment and such a way it happened. We weren't going to let that happen again.
All right, so you're driving across in 83.
Right.
You're driving your guts out.
Yep. Okay. Here's what happens. When you're driving, first of all, you don't know where the construction zones are. Right. You don't know where the trucks are going to be. You don't know where something is happening. You hit a city in traffic for whatever reasons. But you are aware of the chatter. And what we knew is, I'll tell you, I'll come back to this one, but we never heard anything about another car. After maybe 500 miles, 600 miles, we never heard any chatter about another car or multiple cars or whatever was going on. You left
in third or fourth?
No, we left probably seventh or eighth. I don't think we were ever that low. Mm-hmm. And so, we're thinking to ourselves, we're doing well. Our average is great. We stopped where we thought we would for fuel. We had no incidents. We never spent any time on this.
Would you consider a good average was what? High 80s?
We were in the 90s.
Okay. I
mean, I don't even know what our time was for that year.
A 90 average is 31 hours.
Yeah, I'm not sure what our time was for that year. Mm-hmm. But we really thought it was respectable. I don't know if this is cheating or not. I didn't have GPS, obviously. And I'm really good driving. I have no trouble driving. I can drive in any country in the world except for Long Island. Okay. And for some reason, Long Island is this pit that I can go into a circle in forever.
Yeah, yeah.
And those days I was also working in New York, and I had a driver, Norman, who would work, take me around the city from business to business to business. And I said, Norman, I'm doing this race again. I said, I'd like to hire you just to get me over the George Washington Bridge. I want to follow you over the George Washington. And he said, sure, no problem. And he loved the idea of it. He brings his wife with him in the car, and there's another couple, Sue and Lenny, who are such New Yorkers. I'll shout out to them. They are wonderful people. They're living in Miami now.
Of course they are.
Of course they are. And I get out of the garage, and we had a predetermined place where I was going to meet them. We had a two-way radio between us, not an airplane.
What are they driving?
A Cadillac limo.
Nice.
A stretch.
Yes.
And that was Norman.
The limo is going to lead the 928 out of Manhattan.
Out of Long Island over the bridge. Okay. And I can hear on the radio Norman's wife screaming at him, "You're going too fast." And she'd say, "Shut up, Evelyn. He's going to win."
Why is Evelyn such a... It's a name that you can say with such contempt. Shut up, Evelyn. Like the way Tom Hanks does it in fucking League of Their Own is perfect.
Come on, Norman. And Lenny and Sue in the back are laughing. And we got over the George Washington Bridge. We passed at least two cars that had been pulled over by the authorities.
Nice.
On the way into Pennsylvania, through Jersey into Pennsylvania. And after that, it was a smooth run. It was perfect. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was really perfect.
Until...
Well, it was perfect right up to the end. We lived, we survived, we came in,
we made it.
and we were told we were second. Mm-hmm. So we looked at each other, and Steve more adamantly said, "That's not possible."
That they were second, or that you were alive, or that?
Or no, that we hadn't come in first.
Because the Cadillac's part
That's
limos.
not
Right,
possible.
it's still, you're still following it. Yeah.
They get there, and it's like Lenny and Sue, Evelyn. Turns out this bitch can wheel. Turns out Evelyn was like was a NASCAR driver actually. We've got a lot of questions from the audience.
Well,
Well,
you want to hear the
there's an
questions?
audience.
no, not
Oh,
yet.
my.
But well,
Okay.
some did apply to that.
All right.
But I want to know what you guys think about Arnie and Doug's current time of 27 hours and how many minutes? 27:20?
25.
27:25?
You know, I have to tell you this because the reason I identify with you in a big way, I mean, almost all good ways, but in one way I feel bad, is because having watched so much footage of you with Steve, it's probably 10 or 15-year-old footage now, 15 years old.
Yeah.
And you're telling this exact story about how hard it was to believe that this red Ferrari had beaten you guys. And then, later we find out in the film that in fact they had actually done it. And so when Maher and I went across in 06, my God, and I knew that our time was beatable. I just didn't know by how much. And so 7 years later, I get a phone call from this guy. He says, I beat you by hours, Ed Bolian, 2850. And I knew it was possible, but I didn't want to believe it. I didn't have evidence. Like I was not convinced. And my friends were split. Some of my friends who I consider experts said, it's not true. Bolian's time's not real. And other friends said I should just accept it. And I stopped being able to objectively look at that time and just accept not only that I got beat, but by how far. And I felt, I knew inside, I have the feeling that you had in that interview.
Yeah,
I got it.
There's just a piece of you. You know what you put into it, and you know all the variables that have to play into it.
The big one though is, and there's another scene that's not in the movie that we'll have in another version of the film, where you say, you just have to accept in life, you just have to, you have to move on, and you can never define yourself by something you did. No matter what it is, you have to go to the next thing because we're defined by the choices we make every day, and that. No, it's that.
No, I thought of Cool Runnings, the movie.
Okay. Well, I've got the bobsled for you.
That
So
took me some years.
You'll never be enough without it.
Right.
It
You'll
took
never
me
be enough
years
with it.
to actually accept that lesson.
yeah, I mean it's worthless baggage at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got the knowledge of what we did do. I've got the knowledge of what we tried. And I've got the knowledge that we had a hell of a run to Newport Beach in '83.
Well, I eventually I apologized to Ed Bolian. I said, Ed, I'm sorry. I mean, you just had no evidence, but I accept it, and that's why when Arnie Toman came in at 27:25, I had a huge celebration.
Good.
That
something.
was the best thing.
Something.
That's a crazy time.
Well, I'm
27s.
I'm going to say something. When I watched the film for the first time, I had no idea what to expect, and I really did. I figured I'd be on the cutting room floor, and it didn't matter to me, but I wanted to see the movie. And the way you finish the movie with with honoring the people who have passed and acknowledging people who've done it faster, the expression that comes to my head is mensch, which is it is you've got it's good. It's a nice thing that
Thanks.
you handle.
It's a respect for the culture of it.
I got to confess, the original old Alex Roy wanted to be the Alex Roy story.
Yeah.
And when I was writing big checks into this film, that was what I wanted. And then later, the film was delayed by several years. That's another story. And after Bolian's time, I was like, what do I really want? And when I guess about 4 years ago, when JF came back and said to me, hey, look, I'm going to finish this film. We're going to come out with a final version. And JF said to me, Alex, I have one request. and it's going to be almost impossible for you to agree to it. I need you to shut your mouth and have nothing to do with the final edit of this movie.
Really?
Yeah, and so I had
Wow.
virtually nothing to do with the final edit. He only asked me one question. He said, do you think that we should have Ed Bullion in the film? I said, absolutely we should.
But don't let him talk.
No, but
You should just put his name up at the end.
But absolutely we should, because we're all part of the story. Everyone's part of the story. Everyone is part of the story.
Correct.
And so my only regret is that Arnie and Doug time they slipped in. The movie came out and their time was like public like a few days before. I wish we could have fit them in too.
I mean, what are you gonna do? You know what I mean? Anytime you produce anything, something can happen just afterwards.
It happens all the time.
But Arnie and Doug, because they dropped their car off with me after they made it here. In the car, and they had some really trick shit going on in that car. It was pretty cool. What has evolved from the kind of stuff they're doing in the 80s, which, available technology then, very highly analog, to, what you were doing in 06, where it was clearly very digital, but in... without sort of the crowdsourced information that we've got now, to, Arnie and Doug's car, which fundamentally was just a bunch of magnetic mounts on a dashboard that you could put iPads on and would do anything. But they took the gyro stabilized thing and they mounted it on an exterior hard mount. They used colored vinyl to change the shape of the tail lights to make it look from a Mercedes to look more like a Honda. They changed a few little subtle things about the car on the exterior to really make it look like a much more generic car. An E63 is pretty stealth to begin with, but and then mysteriously left an AMS Alpha 9 sticker on there. After all that work to hide behind it's a Mercedes, and you put the Alpha 9 sticker there. But
what I love about it is just every generation has the guy who says no one will ever do this again. It's over. Can't be beat. And every generation figures out a way.
Well, what was Arnie and Doug's average speed? Was it over 100?
I think it was 109.
I mean, if that's the case, then that is faster for longer than the slowest car in the 24 hours of Le Mans in 2019. I mean, having attempted to do those types of high average speeds for even a couple of hours, it's very hard.
It is draining.
Yeah.
It is hard, and it is sometimes impossible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
but I think it's actually physically easier to focus on that. Like, I've had the hardest times I've had focusing on road trips is actually in Europe with variable speed limits, like in Germany. It's weird because I love the Autobahn system so much. Like, I love it so much. It's so civilized. But also, to go from these like 15, 20-minute bursts of like 150 miles an hour, to 60K. And not 1K over for an hour and a half. You get these spikes and crashes of adrenaline, whereas I think if you're doing a cannonball type event, you are sustained a bit by that and Pro Vigil. Pro Vigil.
But once you get into once you're just going 100 miles an hour, you're just going 100 miles an hour.
You're in the zone.
You don't even think about it.
But you're on public roads with public crap on the roads.
Stuff.
And today there's more than there used to be.
People often ask me if I think like Doug and Arnie's time will be beat, and I think actually the limiting factor is quality of tire. Like,
because you just can't sustain 180 for that long.
The roads are what they are. You can't change the roads.
Right.
And so what can you change? You will need to have a very good active suspension that can support the load of the extra fuel, and you need to have tires that can withstand those speeds with those road conditions.
Yeah. Doug and Arnie said they were they did not modify the suspension. Mm-hmm. And they said it's stock Mercedes, the adaptive.
Why would you need to modify? It's designed to be on the Autobahn at 200 miles an hour.
It was actually because it was an extra 47 gallons of fuel.
Okay,
so it was a substantial amount of weight, and they said that they were right under where the weight became a problem.
I was right over that. My suspension was sagging.
Yeah, but you burn it off. It's like a jet. They can't land. After, because they're too heavy taking off.
One time, Maher and I were coming. Maybe more than one time, we're coming out of a gas station. So we were carrying full-size spare mounted on wheel with 18 extra gallons. So, and the rear of the M5 is sagging, and we're coming out of the gas station and accelerating to get onto a ramp, and the back of the car goes.
Oh no!
Yeah, that was
Sketch.
You had a lot of weight in your trunk.
Yeah, it was.
You had a bunch of shit in there.
I was watching you loading that, and I'm looking at that. I said, "When are you going to have time for that stuff?"
Well,
it's like
we were carrying two of literally everything except a fuel pump.
You had a lot of shit in that car.
Yeah,
it was loaded up.
Yeah.
Where is that car?
It's sitting right now in the basement of BMW Manhattan.
Is it really?
Yes.
Are you going to send it out here?
I'd like to.
You should. It'd be a nice car for Elliot.
I'm thinking the movie's doing pretty well. I always thought that after the movie came out that I would put the car up for auction or donate it. I don't know, Peterson. I don't know.
If Peterson wants it, that'd be cool. But otherwise, you do a little bring a trailer charity auction, make it nice.
Yeah. What were you shaking your head?
Peterson sells off cars too often, so they don't have. A lot of these places don't have the room for them, and you need the insurance. I like the.
It would be if you're talking Peterson, it would be a loan. It wouldn't be. They wouldn't. They wouldn't know what to do with it for.
My gut tells me that no one is going to be as crazy as I was, maybe as dumb as I was, to invest so much money in an indie documentary about a future record, and that we're the only people who brought video other than you guys back in the 80s. Or Doherty had video.
No, Doherty, no, it wasn't organized though.
So
it was just people messing around with video cameras.
Well, we didn't have cell phones.
Yeah.
So my theory is that this film, Apex Secret Race, might be the last film of its kind documenting this thing.
Did Arnie and Doug and them not get videos?
No one has videos.
Oh, they don't bother?
No one does.
Oh, okay.
Well, again, like they...
You would think
they heard my story and said, we're not as stupid as Roy, so we're not going to put our life savings into a documentary about ourselves.
Or you don't want to document it when you get pulled over on your GoPro.
Right.
That here's everything you've been doing.
And yet everybody seems to be, well, if you look at like those, like the fake races, like the gumball, people are live Instagramming all their police stops.
Yeah. It's crazy. I don't know. Yeah. We got a bunch of questions from the people. Let's go to some of them. Let's kill that super chat. Do not give us any more questions because we have a lot. And some of them address things that we already brought up really quick. Some of them also completely fucking random. So let's see. Blakesley Woody says, what Radwood car, meaning 80s, 90s spec car, would you like to take on a cannonball attempt? I mean, I know you probably want to bring that G928 out of retirement, right?
I would take the 928. Yeah. I mean, I'm sorry to disappoint anybody, but that was designed for this.
That's not disappointing in the least.
I would also take a 928, but my backup choice would be an BMW 850 V12, like the whole thing, which is not a good car.
In hindsight, no.
And yet, I'm unaware that anyone has ever taken such a car on any endurance drive
of any kind.
And so I think one time on the Gumball somebody had a white one with a white interior. Which is how you do it.
I want to see what EAG has right now in terms of 8 Series vehicles in the EAG collection, because
is that something that you approve of in BMW 8 Series? You cool with that?
They were beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, but I don't know how roadworthy time-wise they are.
Right.
Everybody I've had nothing but maintenance issues.
Well, they got a 93 with 26,000 miles on it right now. Call for price. It's a CSI manual, though. It's delightful. 26,000 miles.
David, what cars, after the Express ended in 83, what did you go on to own?
After the Express ended, I had a Squirreling.
I'm sorry, what?
No, I'm scrolling. My mind is scrolling.
I
had a Squirreling car.
Like an 827?
I thought he meant a Sterling.
Yeah,
whoa.
I had an XKE, a Roadster, red. I had
Lovely.
I had a Mercedes 500 SL.
Those are lovely as well. I had one of those too.
What did I roll into when I... Multiple Corvettes over the years, multiple other Porsches over the years, and I'm actually I have two hydrogen cars today.
Yeah, he rolled up in a Nexo.
Yeah.
And he's the second guest on this show in 2 weeks to roll up in a Nexo.
Mm-hmm. You can only do that in California, though.
Yeah. I checked it out, though. It's a pretty neat car.
It's spectacular.
It's pretty. The interior is pretty cool.
Yeah, there won't be any races in that car, though.
No, but it was pretty rad.
Yeah.
You could go for a hydrogen record of some kind if it exists. Is it possible to go cross country on hydrogen right now?
No,
not right now.
You can't go out of the state in hydrogen.
Really?
No. In fact, you're going to be stuck in Palm Springs.
Yeah. MB is Frenchy says, Alex, can you tell us a new, fun VinWiki story that we haven't heard on Bolian's channel?
I'm actually going to visit Ed soon to tell some more stories.
Where is he? Atlanta?
He's in Atlanta. It's just
he invited me to do the show, but I just haven't been to Atlanta.
It's not convenient.
No.
Although it's amazing that all the guys who do the new generation cannonball races seem to have a lot of spare time and all go to Atlanta. They always seem, or maybe Ed has just constructed a new community of cannonball drivers from the Southeast who just find that they have the time to go to his.
Well, what I've learned in this 10 years of doing this is that you think people that have a lot of money should have better things to do.
And yet
they don't. They never ever do.
I'm trying to think. In the past, I've told the evidence story. I've told here first, I think.
Yes.
And I've told a story about the Eurostar and the VIP loading. Yes.
Are we allowed to talk fully and frankly about Morgans yet?
No. My Morgan three-wheeler, which has been in storage for a year and a half, broken, is now at a Morgan dealer in upstate New York, getting repaired.
Nice.
And I've told, actually quite recently, I haven't told this story publicly. Quite recently, I was driving my Tesla cross country at a reasonable pace, but get a little feisty, and it was on autopilot at about 85 miles an hour. And I slowed down, and I had one phone with Waze, and I had another phone with Netflix.
Okay.
Now I'm not watching, obviously, because that's not responsible. The car has on the back a Cannonball Run sticker, a Cannonball Memorial Run sticker, a Polizei sticker, and a No Parking Podcast sticker. It's my new podcast with my name on it, and I'm wearing a Polizei jacket with a Polizei hat, and I have everything, and I'm pulled over, and the officer comes up to the right side of the car, and I'm like, something. This is it. Like this is the moment in a Tesla going like a little over the limit. Like this is the time I get caught after everything I've done. Apex has come out 2 weeks earlier. Like, is this how I go down? And so I do everything by the numbers. Hands on the wheel. The cop comes up. He says, license registration. I said, they're in the glove box. Do I have permission to open it?
I know that move.
Yep.
And he's like, you do. So I open it. I hand it to him. And he comes back. And he says, well, why don't you just slow it down? I'm like, how is this possible? With all the stickers and the outfit and everything. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I have just tempted fate and gotten away. Let's see how far I could take this. I'm like, officer, before you go, are you into car movies? And he's like, yeah, of course. I'm like, I've got a movie that you need to see.
Oh, so boy.
I pull out the Human Driving Association business card and I write the Apex Secret Race Earl on the back and hand it to him. I haven't heard from him. But I will never do that again.
Never.
Never.
And you will certainly slow it down. Cody says, what 911 should be your first 911?
Is it our Cody? Is it Dr. M3 from Pittsburgh?
No, different. No, different Cody. Which 911 should be your first 911? It will be a daily driver.
That's a you question first.
I'm not qualified to answer it.
Well, you've owned many 911s.
Well, I've owned them, but I don't have one currently, and it's whatever makes your heart beat faster. And if you live in an area where you can put the top down, you want a Targa. You want a convertible.
I'm a Targa guy.
Yeah.
I like Targas.
Yeah, I'm a Targa.
So
I'd say the first 911 should be a Lego 911.
A Lego?
Be remote controlled.
Yeah, it should be a Lego Technic 911.
Okay.
Look, if you really like just want to dip your toe in the water, you get a 997.2. It'll work.
Nice
it'll,
guy.
it'll be nice.
Wait, you've owned Targos in the past, right?
A long time ago.
So
yes.
'cause I have an 87 right now that I store at West Side Collector Car Storage. It's a great place to store a car.
I'd love to hear about that place.
Thank you,
place.
Alex.
It's great. My
Come
Targos
see
are
us.
safe. But I had it one time in 2000. I bought a 1996 So Blue it was purple 993 Targa, which had the full glass roof Targa. I dreamt of this car. It had a gray interior. I bought it for like $35,000 with
lovely.
like 40,000 miles. It was perfect, and I'm like, this car, I'm taking it cross country. And I had this girlfriend named Shara.
That sounds right.
Wait, actually, Shara K, if you're out there, I know she's like in the film business now. We drove across country in this car, and I was bragging. I'm like, I've got the hottest, it's like the most amazing car. Everyone's like, that's junk. That air-cooled stuff is junk. It's the 2000.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, this is the best. This is the best. And it began to rain. And the rain came in through the rails of that glass roof, and I'm like sticking like rags.
Oh, no.
Nothing could solve that. So I brought it back to a Porsche consignment shop in Westchester called Porsche.
Oh, yeah, I remember that place, yeah.
Yeah. And the guy says to me, well, that's a common problem. Would you like to buy an extended warranty on that car? And I'm like, no. And then I thought to myself, this problem is actually built into the car.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I paid $3,000 for an extended warranty, and every year for the next 6 years, I
got a new roof.
That insurance company must have lost like $30,000 fixing that car. The bills coming out of Porsche were criminal. I sold that car, and I'm sorry, Dix, I sold it for $45,000.
And you'd still want it today, wouldn't you?
I do.
I'd cover up those rails when
Yeah.
I washed it, and it would be a sunshine car. Let's see. Ray says, without any tech, and no, this is too convoluted. Ray, without any tech, how fast could someone drive cross country?
David?
That's what we did.
There's the answer.
Yeah, 33 hours and 9 minutes.
No, we didn't have tech. I mean, we didn't have web. We didn't have internet. We didn't have cell phones. I don't think a CB radio is tech.
It's pretty low tech.
So what you're saying is it has to. Well, it still has a solid state circuit in there of some kind.
It's not a smart device.
Okay, no connected devices. I think that the next generation, the future, when like autonomous vehicles arrive, that people are going to go further back. They're going to do period correct cannonball.
Well, aren't they doing that now? Didn't Doug had some sort of vintage cannonball car?
They're bringing like modern gear in the vintage car. I'm talking like someone in the future is going to get really hardcore, and it's like you're going to
Fuzzbusters
cars. It's like 1979 cars with 1979 tech, and they scrutineer the vehicle, and you might get randomly stopped on the way and scrutineered again. So you can't like get in the car and pick up and buy a phone at a gas station.
I like that move.
That's the
actually,
next frontier.
Yeah, I like that move.
Millimelia, they're like that Millimelia.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Total vintage.
So that's it. The Tres Millimelia.
Oh, that's actually very good. Yeah. Todd has a quick watch question. He wants a Tag Carrera Caliber 5. And what should he get, a black or white dial? He should get a white or silver dial, sir. And he also wanted to know another Alex story, but he just told his Alex story. Kill Shorty says, followed your previous SUV suggestions and bought a Dodge Durango Crew Hemi. All right, cool, man. Okay. Highway vehicle recommendation. I drive 400 miles a week, mostly highway. Can you suggest anything better than a diesel for miles per gallon, comfort, compromise? I have an apartment, so electrics are not really an option.
I don't have an answer.
What state are you in?
Don't know.
Don't know.
I
will tell you that the hydrogen vehicles in California have tremendous range, and the fuel is free.
Oh, yeah, they give you a gas card. It's literally free.
$13,000 on the new Hyundai, and I had a $15,000 card on the Honda.
Which do you prefer driving? The Honda, is it a Clarity?
We have a Clarity.
The Clarity or the Nexo?
I've had the Clarity for 3 years. The lease is up, but we extended it month to month. And They're different kind of cars. The Nexo is spectacular. It really is. It's very well outfitted. It's very comfortable, and every bell and whistle.
I was really impressed with the interior of the Nexo when I saw it, the one that was outside. It was really, really
Here's
nice.
a question for you,
but
Dave.
Hang on, let me go back to this guy.
Yeah. 400 miles
The
a
last
week.
Porsche I had was a Porsche Macan.
Yeah.
That's a great road car.
It is.
Yeah.
Dave,
It is.
Does the GPS in your hydrogen vehicle pull up hydrogen stations? Is that built
Yes,
into the GPS?
it's built into it.
And have you driven a Tesla?
I have not. I don't. I'll tell you why I haven't. But go ahead.
Well, because in a Tesla, the location of the Tesla charging network is not only in the GPS, but it's factored into range calculations and navigation instructions, and it's very well done. Is it very well done in a hydrogen vehicle?
It's well done because there's so few places to refuel. There's one on. There's two
There's
near
like
here.
4 in LA.
Yeah,
there's not a lot.
Yeah, there's not a lot.
So does it tell you how long does it take to fill it up?
5 minutes.
Oh,
It does. I poked at that feature when the Daniel Miller was here with that, and it does show you. You know, can you get to this one? Can you get to this one? Can you get to this
What
one?
is the range of such a vehicle?
The Hyundai has a little larger tank than the Honda. Consistently, we've hit 350 miles.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
And on the Honda, which claims 300 plus, we're lucky in the 250 range, but it's fine.
I mean, honestly, this is not. He's not going to like this question, or the answer, like Priuses are really good too. Like they are for highway commuting. Like they're pretty good.
My son has one.
Yeah, if I know it's not really fun, but they're, I drove a Prius to San Diego and back, and I was like, this is kind of nice.
It's fine.
Yeah, kind of fine.
But wait a second.
Yeah.
He said no electrics, but the Tesla supercharger network is pretty ubiquitous. I mean, I don't have a charger.
You couldn't fucking pay me to have an electric car without a charger at my house.
Okay,
Correct.
so
You
I have,
couldn't pay
I have
me
a Tesla
to deal with that.
I don't have a charger.
I'm not
on
dealing with
either
that
end.
bullshit.
And I deal with it all the time. I love it. I love it. I love it.
There's not enough superchargers here.
And people wait
In
for
LA,
it.
there's not enough
I
superchargers.
could see that.
Yeah, they're too inconvenient. It seems like, there's one only 5 miles from the next one. 5 miles is like a half hour here. Super annoying. Let's see. Are welders? Oh, someone. Let's see.
Well,
Huh?
before this night is over, I want to hear your problem with Teslas. And
Go ahead.
no,
I'll find the next
my
interesting
son.
thing.
First of all, I have a son in Chicago. He has a Tesla. He absolutely loves it. I live on a street in Santa Monica. I do not have a driveway. I do not have a garage. All my cars live on the street.
I thought you lived in Newport. Didn't you used to live in Newport?
Never. That's David. That's the other. That's the
That's the
Ferrari.
other
That's the
guy.
Ferrari
Okay.
Gruz.
Go on.
So I can't have an electric car where I live, and I've got nothing against them. But I find that unless you have a charging station at home in this city, it
I'm
doesn't
with
make
David.
sense.
It doesn't make sense in the city. Daniel wants to know: will electric cars ever have souls?
Of course they do. I mean,
yeah.
of course. I mean, look, I've been trying to write a column about this for like 3 years, trying to define this thing that people think electric cars don't have. And so my theory, I'm still working this out, is that we are organic life forms. So we have hearts that beat, and the chemistry of our bodies is such that we are capable of physical exertions in short bursts. And while we're doing that, we can feel and hear our own hearts beating and blood pumping. There is something. So an internal combustion engine with the relationship in transmission, RPMs, fuel consumption, and noise operates. It makes sounds and vibrates similarly to how we have a relationship with our own heart rate and noise and blood pumping in our veins. We can literally hear it. Whereas an electric car is perfectly linear. It is in every way the opposite of how our bodies function. There isn't like a reservoir of strength, chemically in our bodies that we can tap into in a linear fashion. So shifting a car manually, hearing the engine, you don't even need the attack.
Right.
If you are familiar with your vehicle's performance, you can operate an internal combustion vehicle with manual transmission, and you integrate it holistically into yourself. It's a physical thing, whereas an electric vehicle is a completely intellectual exercise. how well you drive it is purely a function of whether you understand physics, math, and grip. There's nothing else.
Yeah.
And so it means that the threshold of driving an electric vehicle well requires far greater knowledge of cars and physics, but no knowledge at all of weight distribution and all of which happens in a linear. It's linear versus nonlinear. We are nonlinear. Electric cars are linear, and so our relationship with those vehicles is different. And I think over time it will change, and people will ascribe souls to them. But for now, we can't, because on a fundamental level, it's the center of
like
gravity.
we're like unfamiliar with how to relate to it on a molecular level.
So this is the article I've been struggling with for years. You get into a Rimac, and you've driven a Rimac?
No, I haven't.
I have driven the one. Rimac is the electric supercar from Croatia. The first cars, they made 8 of them, like $3 or $4 million each. And that car had no soundproofing or deadening material of any kind, at least none compared to like a Tesla.
Yeah.
And in a Rimac, you get into it, you can hear individual pumps and cooling systems operating
intentionally,
and that was a very emotional experience. Whereas a Tesla, a Model S, you are very removed.
Yeah, it's isolating.
You can barely hear just the whine, the slight whine of the motors. And so a Rimac is, I think in the future, people will there'll be more electric sports cars.
I enjoyed the Jetsons noises I got from the Taycan.
Yeah,
I actually found the Jetsons noises to be fun.
We associate noise levels with movement and progress.
Yeah.
We need it.
My wife, as a passenger in the Model 3 Performance I was testing, got uncomfortable as a passenger when I was driving because of the force of both the acceleration and the braking and the dissociation from noise. Whereas if I were to do exactly the same thing in any gas car, she would have been fine. It's a very unique thing. It takes some getting used to.
Also, if you think about it, the electric vehicle, because it has a low noise floor, you hear road noise more in it.
Yeah.
You're aware of it, which is a different and not great.
Well, that's why when you see people who are trying to sort of build sort of very small, low volume EVs that have maybe a lot of bare metal in them, you go, well, that's not going to be a refined experience at all. You know,
No. Dave, you look like you got to say something.
No, the hydrogen, which creates electricity, when you power down, actually when you start up and when you power, especially powering down and turn it off, it has a range of noises and procedure that is, well, it's both comforting, and then when it says safe to leave exit vehicle, but it's still going on.
Safe to exit vehicle.
Safe to exit on both the cars.
What?
Well, did you fly the Hindenburg before? Same gas.
Yeah, but like, what about the person who's already standing outside the car? Is it safe for them?
No, I've never.
Hi, honey. Stay back.
What it really does is it's emptying the water out of the pipes.
Oh,
okay, that's what's happening.
so they don't want it to drip on your shoe?
No, it's in the it's comes out the tail, whatever tailpipe.
I'm interested in the hydrogen. I wonder if they've got one of the Nexos in the fleet. I would love to grab one for a week.
I never thought I would be interested in a hydrogen vehicle until you.
You can borrow either of ours whenever you want.
He can borrow one from Hyundai and treat it like garbage and not have to worry about it. If you don't feel comfortable answering this, don't worry about it. How much money did you guys spend attempting to break cross-country records?
Dave?
A lot less than him.
Yeah.
Wait a second.
No, seriously. My expenses ranged the transport to get the car out, to put the
passport transport.
I don't think they exist anymore.
Yes.
It was probably, we had transportation, getting on an airline.
Yeah.
The actual car refitting, maybe $2,000-$3,000 at the time.
$1981.
$81. Yeah. That's probably $25,000 now, right?
Yeah. No,
20 grand. 20.
I mean, the electronics.
Alex spent a lot.
Well, to be clear, I bought the car in 2002 for I think $54,000 or $55,000.
Okay.
In 02, it was used.
Yeah.
And and on the prep specific to the drive, I think the number is like $30,000.
Yeah.
And then, but the big one was the man hours of labor.
Yeah.
Because, this at the end of the analog era, I basically didn't go to work for 2 years. And looking back, I lost a fortune.
Yeah.
A fortune.
And you mean, by the way, you're not talking about labor like AI design installing shit in the car. You're talking about
me
plotting
sitting
the
in front of the
fucking
computer.
fuel charts and stuff like
And
that.
the time.
Yeah.
I went to work, but all I thought about was this. And also the big one, the big cost was the personal relationships. I mean, there was a woman, more than one woman actually, during that span of time that I took out of the number one spot, and put this thing in the number one spot in my life, and that you can't put a price on that.
Yeah. When is Apex going worldwide? I live in Europe and can't get it. What's the deal?
I was just talking the other day with JF and the guys. I think hopefully within a few weeks.
Cool. Soon.
Yeah, really soon.
Are you entering any festivals?
No.
Okay.
We were very deliberate. The movie has been in play, in theory, for 14 years, but and every time we thought of going film festival route, someone said, "Well, it's been pirated for years ago, and it's a different version, and this and the other." And my good friend Russell Datz, who was at Fisker and now he's at Volvo, is a big guy in comms at Volvo. He was my publicist years ago. He said, "Alex, you know something? What are you doing? This is going to be a cult movie forever. It'll find its audience." And so the first few weeks I got really nervous, and we did talk to a few festivals, and they didn't understand it, and I'm like, "Guys, you don't understand it. This will be a cult movie." So the first few weeks sales were pretty good, and I got nervous. And then in week 3, I looked at the numbers, and they started getting good, unexpectedly, in England, in SoCal, in Florida, and New York. And Matt Hardigree, former editor-in-chief of Jalopnik, who was the editor-in-chief at the time we broke the record, said to me, "Alex, just sit tight. It'll find its audience." And now it is. So I think we're going to let it percolate. So.
Nice. Yeah. I'm going to apologize to everyone who has donated funds to get questions in today, because there are too many questions. I can't get to all of them, and I'm going to go to the ones that I think will provoke the most interesting conversation amongst our guests. But I thank all of you preemptively. Today marks Mazda's 100th anniversary. Do you have a favorite Mazda?
David?
No, I'm turning that one back to you. I don't.
Well, the RX-7 that got red hot and caught fire. Don Cordier's car. I always wanted, in high school, and it was 87, 88. I remember the Gen 2 RX-7 came out.
The one that was the 944 knockoff?
Yeah, and I had the sales brochure,
yeah.
And there were 3 specs. And I was thinking, that turbo seems like a little too much for me. I'm just going to go for the
regular.
Yeah, the middle one. The middle one, which had a vent but not a turbo. Had the intake but no turbo. I thought that car has not seemed to age well.
The second gen?
Yeah.
Not unless you see one that's so mint you can't believe it, and it's very, very rare.
So.
I really like the zero fucks given RX-7 that I made a video with. That's my favorite Mazda ever. Oh, I did it for a drive back in the day. Video got so many views.
But I like Mazda, zoom, and they're they have the minimal dashboards, but all the crap on them today. So,
this thing, remember this thing?
Yeah.
This thing built by a kid.
Yeah.
Did lots of heavy fucking traffic, heavy rotation on the interwebs. That's my favorite Mazda, folks. It's good. We have, let's see, looking to buy my first watch, $300 to $400 range. I only fuck with Seiko in that range. This dude wants Junkers Bauhaus. If you like that minimalist shit, Junkers is all right.
That's a great shirt. You should make a shirt that says, "I only fuck with Seiko."
I only fuck with Seiko under 500, dude.
My dad was a big Seiko guy.
I love him.
I have a few of his watches.
Do you really?
Yeah, they're sitting.
Some of them might be worth substantial money. Not that you want to sell them, but some of them might be really clutch pieces. Thank you, Alex, for the book and the film. Helped you get through some difficult times with his father.
Thank you.
You are welcome. Updates on Alex's view on autonomous trucking. Alex works with the autonomous development company Argo AI.
Yes, I do.
And so autonomous trucking, what are your thoughts, Alex?
Interesting, because I think about it a lot. I've just launched a new podcast called No Parking with the CEO of Argo AI, Brian Selesky. And one of the topics we talk about is autonomous trucking and the question of trust. Like, how does anyone come to trust one of these vehicles?
Right.
Like, how would you trust an autonomous truck going down the highway, driving near you? We're going to talk about that in a future episode. Well, I guess we don't well, I can't talk. I don't speak for Argo here on this podcast, but the position of almost every company in developing autonomous trucks is that there is a truck driver shortage in this country, which there is, and that for the truckers that are out there, it's not a great job because they're often driving far from home. So the theory behind the autonomous trucking companies is that they will be able to automate long distance trucking such that truckers will be able to operate closer to home on the routes that are more convenient to them, and that some long distance routes might be tackled by autonomy, and that perhaps truckers could operate closer to hubs on shorter spokes, and then loads might be delivered autonomously between the hubs and spokes. Now, I don't work on that, and that is not my domain.
God, that seems like such a fucking complex solution to hire more truckers and pay them appropriately.
Well, again, this is outside my immediate domain, but the argument that's been made to me by people I know and respect is that once one tackles the technical problem of developing an autonomous vehicle stack that can drive a truck at highway speeds, that's one problem.
Yeah.
Then the big problem, and this is around all autonomy, is what is the business that is profitable around the technology once the technology is quote unquote safe and trustworthy. So that's two separate problems. So I'm not familiar enough with the autonomous trucking business case yet, but I've seen some interesting startups try to approach it. One of them, this guy, you should have him on, Alex Seltz-Achmacher. He has a startup called Starsky Robotics. And their model, and they're operating a trucking company right now, is that you would have the truck would operate autonomously from B to Y, but from A to B and Y to Z near the terminals, human operated. And it would be remotely human operated at low speeds once the autonomous truck arrives inside a fence.
Right.
So the highway stuff is autonomous. It arrives.
So then you've got a guy in a sim rig who just sort of hops from truck to truck, air quotes, virtually parking.
Theoretically, it makes some sense because then the truckers don't need to, they can go home at night to the same home to their families. It becomes a more attractive job. They also, one trucker could then manage multiple trucks, because he's only operating it during the terminal phase at the beginning and end. And you'll find that military veterans are, with lots of operational logistics experience, are of tremendous value in sectors like trucking. And now you have military veterans coming out of the military with drone piloting experience. So now you have thousands of people who've operated vehicles remotely right now. And they're young. They played video games in high school. They came out of the military the last few years. These people have skills that are of great relevance. This all depends on the reliability of the bandwidth and connectivity and the latency issues around remote operation of vehicles. That's why that remote control, teleop it's called, right now is limited to low speeds and very reliable bandwidth. And that's outside my domain, but I have faith that all of these things will be resolved in time. So.
Would you see that solution coming before a commercially available semi-autonomous vehicle for human, like for general consumer driving, would be out?
I don't know, because again, that is not my domain.
Okay.
I would not. Because I work for. I work for a company that I believe in, and I do it very specifically because I believe in their approach. We will see level 4 autonomous vehicles, robotaxi fleets in places in the next few years. We'll see them. But that will depend a lot on, of course, the business execution around them. Mm-hmm. You could deploy them tomorrow in a parking lot or a college campus or a closed fenced area. If Tesla had anything that I believed in, I think we'd start to see demonstrated near supercharger stations. Because isn't that what you want?
Yeah.
I don't want to wait in line at a charging station. I want to get out of my Tesla
and let it wait in line.
Let it wait in line, and then at the end of that, there's a guy
who plugs it in. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I wish. Yeah, so we're going to all these things are going to play out in time.
Okay.
But the question is, who's got the business, who's going to build a profitable business around it? Because the technical problems are getting solved every day. So
interesting. Next person wants any advice or resources how someone can break into the mobility field with a non-STEM background. I'm currently in accounting, he says. I mean, you have a non-STEM background.
Look, there are, if you look at the cities where operations are beginning to spool up, there are going to be a lot of jobs. There's a lot of hiring going on right now. Argo is hiring in many cities. We operate in Miami, Austin, Dearborn, Washington, Pittsburgh, Palo Alto, and I go to visit the Miami office, and I'm going to go visit the Austin office next week. And there are literally dozens and eventually hundreds of people who are young from non-STEM backgrounds working on the operations side. And the operations side is really exciting because you're in the vehicles all the time. We've got a couple of guys.
Do you think it's very important to physically go to those places and put yourself there versus attempting to break in virtually over?
There's no virtual break-in unless you're an engineer.
Yeah.
But we've got a guy named Andre Ramdani. He was with a touring car. He managed a touring car team in Dubai.
Oh, neat.
He's from Grenada, and he works on. He's on a street race. He's done it all. He's now one of the lead techs in the Argo Miami Depot. And this guy, I mean, he would do what we did back in the day, but he's taking a professional approach. So go apply for an operations job at any of the autonomous vehicles companies, but the serious ones, like the well-funded ones, which is maybe 4.
Yeah.
So
that's good advice.
Yeah.
I like that. A lot of the other questions are really just your general car advice questions, which your times are too valuable to waste with these.
Let me add, by the way, if you're interested, if someone's seriously interested in doing something operational like that, my email is aroy@argo.ai. Would love to hear from you.
All right. So. That is. David, do you want to plug anything while you're here? Want to promote anything other than the movie, Apex, the secret race across America?
If I get a chance to promote something, absolutely. I've started a little tech company myself recently.
Really?
I did. Really? Well, you don't even know it because it's called Infinite Humanity. It's it's up and live, infinitehumanity.com. It allows you to tell your stories, and we preserve them for future generations. And unlike social media, we don't mine any data. You own it. Whatever you put in there, you own. You choose who you can share it with. You choose who can add to it. You can choose. All the choices are yours. It will never see an ad to you targeted.
So how do you monetize that?
It's
business?
A subscription base. But the entry, give it a try. It costs nothing.
This interests me enormously. But are you familiar with the Moth storytelling?
Sure,
series?
I am. Yes, I am.
Because I was the chairman of the Moth for 7 years.
I stood up once at the Moth, and I told the Wyoming story.
Really?
I did.
Where?
Here in Los Angeles.
Fascinating.
Yeah, a number of years ago.
So, Infinite Humanity. That business model is interesting because there were many conversations back in the day at the Moth about what it might have looked like had it been started as a for-profit.
It's interesting. Part of this is a work of passion. I wish I knew about my grandparents. I wish I knew more about my parents. I want my children and my grandchildren to know more about me, and this allows my children to know more about me and also build stories for their children. And it's a family tree going forward it's not in retrospect. So take a
Cool.
look at it. If
That's cool.
you can find me on that. You can send me a note. You can tell
just
me what you
pulled-
like and what you don't like, and costs nothing to give it a try.
Let me pull
That's
that back up for you. InfiniteHumanity.com. And of course, Alex is at Argo AI developing self-driving tech, but you can follow his pretty boy ass at AlexRoy144 on the gram.
I'm going to throw out there, though, I'm hoping everybody will follow No Parking Podcast.
Oh, yeah, right. You have a podcast.
Yeah, and Brian Selesky, the CEO of Argo, you should have him on the show eventually.
Does he come to Los Angeles? Because I'd be happy to.
Not that often, but he's a fan of the show, and he's a big car guy, and people often don't know that because he designs autonomous vehicles.
Well, I would love to have him. I will happily have him and tell him to get his ass out here.
I will.
Oh, I don't want to go to Pittsburgh, dude. It's cold.
He tried.
It's cold in Pittsburgh. I owe Dr. M3 a visit, but nah.
Dude, one time I was in the bus going from the Argo headquarters. No, the Argo has a test track, a racetrack.
Really?
Of course, because if you are an autonomous vehicle test driver,
boy.
or we call them test specialist, you have to go to driving school.
Oh, right.
Yeah, there's a whole enhanced driving test and everything. So there's an actual racetrack, and I went through the training program. And you drive out. There's a bus goes out there at like 6:30 in the morning, and so at the end of the day, which is like middle of the afternoon, we're driving back like 20, 30 test specialist trainees, and we're on the back to Pittsburgh, and a purple Lamborghini
Oh, yeah.
comes up on the bus, and the bus gets out of the way and passes, and everyone's looking out the window, and I'm like, I know that guy. There can only be one purple Lamborghini within 150 miles of Pittsburgh. It's Dr. M3. So I text him, and he's like, hey, brother, what's up? So, yeah. And then
Cody rules.
Yeah, they all looked at me like, what kind of friends do you have? I'm like, he's a surgeon.
Yes, neurosurgeon. That's what kind of friends
He's
I
a
have.
surgeon.
We had my surgeon on last episode. It was great. He's very interesting. Thanks for coming down,
Yes.
guys.
Well, thank you.
I really appreciate it. This is very, very
A great trip
educational.
down memory lane.
Thanks, Dave.
Thanks.
It's great to meet you.
Go watch the movie. Go watch the movie, people. It is very good. Apex, The Secret Race Across America. Amazon, iTunes. Get it where you get movies. And for me, the Smoking Tire Podcast is powered by Shout Engine. Get your own damn podcast at shoutengine.com. It's easy. All you need is a microphone, a connection to the internet, and ideally, something to say. See you next time.